Welcome everyone to the Omniverse of Nick, and part 3 to What If Vegeta Became Immortal. We're getting into the entrance of the Boo arc. Before we get into that though, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick so you don't miss a single video or update, and you can help me make this channel bigger, better, and get more awesome stories out and pumping out for you guys. Anyway, we are getting into today's episode and the official introduction to the Boo arc, with Piccolo's plan being the starting point. Last time, we ended off talking about Piccolo and Shenron, and talking about what he would do with this to not only keep Vegeta in check, but watch out for future threats. Now, he wishes, if you guessed it correctly, for immortality to match Vegeta. But he does wish for more with Dende's upgrades. So we'll get more on that in a minute. But like I said, this is to not only make sure, like Goku, to make sure Vegeta stays from not attacking them, since that's what literally started all this, but to make sure that future threats don't become a problem. Also, with Dende now being the Guardian, of course, this means that the hyperbolic time chamber is found out about and becomes just, something paltry. Now, something I want to touch upon real quick for those of you who have had questions or want more of an explanation. The future timeline would be pointless to even bring into the story because Vegeta's immortality just destroyed the androids. There'd be no point in a future timeline. But Kid Trunks in this time is still born, but he's not immortal. Or at least, not entirely. You see, the only thing that stops Trunks from really being immortal is the fact that Bulma is his mom. So the immortality genes would be kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to at least say that Trunks is half immortal. So it's more or less a half baggage sort of deal. But it does wonders for his and Vegeta's training, especially Vegeta's, because Trunks is even stronger. So this means, especially with the immortality and how hard Vegeta trained even before the 7-year time skip, this means that Vegeta wouldn't have a strain on having Super Saiyan 3, because that's the only reason he never achieved it, was because of Goku's strain. And Kid Trunks would get Super Saiyan 2, along with Gohan eventually meeting Videl and teaching her ki control, and Goten still being born, and all that. And that's another thing. Along with Vegeta and his immortality and getting Super Saiyan 3 and training everybody up to, not only have people around to see his immortality, that's what he's pretty much summing it up for, and the fact that Goku's dead, this means that Gohan is the second strongest aside from Vegeta, until I mention Piccolo here in a minute, and this means that Gohan would also have Super Saiyan 3. I've already touched upon he would get 2 right along with Vegeta. He would get 3 also, but it would be more strenuous because Gohan is not immortal, but he does have enough strength within him to use the form, but it's not mastered like Vegeta. And Piccolo is what we're going to be touching upon next. Piccolo is immortal, along with Vegeta, and this is to keep him in check the most, because Gohan and everybody else in the androids living, that's not enough in Piccolo's eyes. There needs to be someone who is truly on his level. And he didn't just wish for immortality. He wished to have his potential unlocked, which means potential unleashed Piccolo and Orange Piccolo coming in the fold way sooner. Well, I'm talking way sooner than DBS Superhero. Because Piccolo, unlike Vegeta, doesn't get Zenkais if he were to get near death with the immortality and all that. He wouldn't get a power boost from it. So the potential unleashed thing is to just increase his power beyond Vegeta's and with Vegeta, if that makes sense. Videl also becomes an apprentice to Piccolo, since Piccolo would be around with Gohan, Vegeta, and all that stuff, so she would be a heck of a ton stronger. We then get to the tournament day where Goku comes back with fortune teller Baba, And as for the tournament roster, Gohan, Krillin, Yamcha, Piccolo, 16, Vegeta, Videl, Tien, 18, and 17. The androids are alive because, as I mentioned, Vegeta would want people around to be on Earth without Goku, and they pretty much lost their directive, so what would be the point in killing them? Trunks aces the junior division, beyond Goten, obviously, and Hercule's no contest, and he's even less of a champ without Cell. We then get into the main matches, which are going to be interesting. Yamcha versus Krillin's the first one, but Krillin would take that fight, obviously. And then we get Piccolo and the Supreme Kai. Now, this is detrimental. In the original, Piccolo was against fighting the Supreme Kai, and the same would be here, even if he's leagues stronger than his canon counterpart at this time. Buu Saga Piccolo was a joke, by the way. He would be even more scared to fight because he knows that he could possibly overtake Supreme Kai, or Shin, or whatever you want to call that. So anyway, he forfeits like the original. Then we get to Videl and Spopovich, which Videl trounces Spopovich. It's not even a contest. We get to Gohan and Kibito next, but Gohan doesn't just show Super Saiyan 2. He goes to 3. And Goku is the only one besides the Kais who are surprised by this because, yeah, Goku, in his eyes, was the only one who accessed this form in Otherworld. But to see Gohan wield it, he doesn't know Vegeta has it. It's a lot to take in. Yamu and Spopovich then try to attack Gohan, which Supreme Kai freezes him and they steal his energy. Now, I know it's probably debatable that Gohan would even be able to be paralyzed like he was, since he would be at least a good bit stronger than his canon counterpart with Super Saiyan 3 and much more experienced training with Vegeta and Piccolo, but I'm going to say it's just barely enough to at least keep him contained. Because before he barely struggled, but with this power-up, I'm going to say he at least has to literally expend all of his energy just to keep Gohan in paralyzation. And if it barely worked, then Gohan would put a tiny bit of a fight up, but still would get his energy taken. And it's a lot more. And Babidi is still blissfully unaware, especially in this timeline, of the energy, and stupidly kills Yamu and Spopovich. And we get to the group going behind the mountains, Deborah being the only one out there, and him killing Kibito, and then spitting on Krillin and turning him into stone. Next would be Yamcha taking the place of Krillin, and him getting turned to stone next. Tien, unfortunately, doesn't put up a great fight against Deborah, but he does manage to get himself not turned into stone and tries a tri-beam. But Deborah instantly uses a blade and slices the tri-beam in half. And that would actually be very cool to see. Piccolo then tries his hand, very suppressed, and tries to extend his arm to help out Tien and the others. Deborah spits on it, and this would be confusing, because we all know that Piccolo could regenerate as long as his head's intact. So with immortality, it would honestly not matter, or it would be very weird to see how Piccolo, as an immortal being, would regenerate, because it would just grow back. You wouldn't even have to exude stamina or anything like that, like he does, you know, how Nameks do. So it's confusing, but it would honestly be very cool, because we really never saw an immortal Namek. And then Piccolo would exude more of his power, and this at this point even gets Goku's attention and everybody else. They didn't know Piccolo was this far above and immortal at that. Deborah has to get away with paralyzation of his own, and he just flees the scene, like he did. We then get to the group going into Babidi's ship, and the little effort that Vegeta had to exude to kill Pui Pui, oh, that is like leveled 1,000-fold, because the Vegeta in this timeline, obviously, which literally frightens Babidi out of his nightmares. And then, with what Deborah's telling him about the Namekian Piccolo, and what they've seen and heard about Vegeta and everybody else, and Gohan's massive energy, which they've seen, over half full with Buu, this definitely catches Babidi's attention. Because if what they're thinking and seeing is true, they could use what Piccolo and Vegeta possess to their advantage. Goku and Yakon's fight would literally go the exact same way because Goku's power is at his canon counterpart. Because even if he is gotten a little bit better with maybe even Yardrat training, which I'll mention more in the next episode, it's not, those are just upgrades and not his true canon power level, which would be the same because of what's happened. Then Babidi at this point has decided all cards on the table, and he uses his magic to turn Dabura immortal. Because, let's be honest, even though we didn't see truly big moments of magic in Dragon Ball, we can assume that Babidi would at least be able to make Dabura immortal. That can definitely be said for Babidi, and that's not made up because we never knew. How will the group deal with an immortal Dabura and whatever might come next? Especially with a Super Saiyan 3 Gohan, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, an immortal Piccolo with his potential unlocked, pretty much the third strongest of the group, if not second, and the fact that Buu might be less or even more of a threat depending on how the immortal Dabura and everything else plans out. With all of these questions to be answered and all of these power-ups and abilities, this is where we leave off for now. You guys didn't think this was the end of the video, did you? Well, the Omniverse of Nick has a new feature. A sneak peek at what's next to arrive.
Get the